Hey everyone, it's Desiree. We are going to make today a bushel of holly with a vintage feel. And I was very much inspired to pull out my mica sprays by Nicole Spohr. So here we go. I'm going to be featuring the Merry Christmas Block Words die by Paper Rose and the Mistletoe large metal die set by them as well. Starting by making my background. Now, we don't use this one. It was too dark with the oxide sprays. I thought it was going to dry a little bit lighter, but I wanted to show you that, okay, we did this, but we can still continue on. We can change as we go. The mica spray that I'm going to be using for the mistletoe itself is Fresh Balsam and Merry Mint. There's a lot of shaking that's going to go on here because you really do need to make sure that the metal ball that's inside these containers is moving to really get the mica shimmer moving around. Now, I took care of all my die cutting, so you just got to watch these pieces because of the spray. They will shift. So they were flying all over the place. And I did keep the white cardstock that I cut these from so that I could see the placement of those individual leaves as well. I'm mixing those two greens together just to get a different effect. Here are all these awesome, wonderful dots that just fly all over the place. But for these, I'm going to be using Cocktail Party and Tart Cranberry. Again, you really want to make sure that these are mixed well because they just have beautiful shimmer to them. What would probably be better when you do this is to keep your white cardstock intact. Don't die cut it. Do your sprays. So do a panel with the reds and then do a panel with the green. I just thought to do this because everything was on the one die. And yeah, so I stopped spraying and I just sprayed a little bit into a little metal container there. I use those for my gems to help clean up. It helps just a little bit. And I'm just adding the darker shade right on top of them with a paintbrush. And then it cleans perfectly with some water. Remember, whenever you use your sprays, especially the oxides, the micas, if there's a shimmer or something like that, you want to make sure that you wipe the nozzle because that'll help so that it won't clog up. You also want to make sure that you want to shift your bottles to the left and to the right first until that ball starts moving, and then you can start shaking that up and down. If you immediately start shaking up and down, that mica is going to get up into the tube for the spray, and it will clog up. It's easy to clean. You just have to run it under some hot water to loosen it up, and then it just comes right back. But if you wanted to avoid that. So we have all of our pieces sprayed. We're going to set those aside so that they can dry fully. And then we're going to go back to our background panel. This just was very dark. It was too dark for what I wanted. So I figured, okay, let's add some water. I wanted to keep the entire process in to show that we keep trying and then we can always change it. Now, of course, I am going to keep this background because I'll use it for die cuts or anything else. For this one, I used the brushed corduroy. I used a blending brush to put it onto my card panel, and then I just spritzed it some water and lifted up the water. I do apologize. I thought I hit record. I did not. But that's what our panel is going to look like now, and I really like that a lot better. For the main part of the mistletoe, I did die cut 2 more from white cardstock, white heavyweight cardstock, so that this is going to give it some dimension and also make it sturdy. You can almost make it like a chipboard piece. I chose white because you'll see that along the side, and that just helps to give it just a little bit of a highlight. I'm only going to add the layers to this piece right here. I'm not going to add any more layers to those side pieces that are also die cut as well. I'm just making sure that this is lined up. And then that is set. And you can see the two beautiful colors. They blend really nice. I chose a silver mirror cardstock for the top for the Merry Christmas block word die. And then I die cut it also out of 2 more pieces of heavyweight white cardstock. When I say heavyweight cardstock can be 100, 110, or 120. It can be any of those weights. If I'm just doing, regular die cuts, I'll say 80 pounds. But when I say heavyweight, that's usually the weight that I'm using. I get that question a lot. I'm now going to come around the edge with some ground espresso. I know, not vintage photo. I know. I was surprised too. And of course I did that and knocked all the berries all over the place. Yes. See, this is true crafting. I'm going to have this sitting on a red mat, and I also use the ground espresso on that as well, just to make it a little darker. I'm going to come in with some black soot along the sides. So this piece actually looks like it was one of those burned pieces of paper, which I really like. I'm going to use my double-sided tape, and I'm going to get this adhered onto the mats. The card signs that I'm making today is a standard A2 size card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And this is going to be a top folding card. Again, I'm putting my double-sided tape onto all of my layers so that that will go onto my card base. Now we're going to, hopefully I don't spill these again. It's fun. I'm going to set the sentiment down towards the base. I did think about putting it across the mistletoe, but I didn't want the mistletoe covered. Nope, did not. I also didn't set the mistletoe as if it was hanging. I set it as if it looks like a bouquet. So you can set this either way. It does not matter. I just liked the look of it this way. You can see I kept what I die cut, and that's just showing me where these extra leaves are coming out of. Once I know I had those in place, I'm going to use my liquid adhesive, and I'm using a wax pencil to pick them up and setting them in place. I add more. I really like the look of that because they don't have the dimension. I didn't die cut multiple of those and layer those up. So they're coming flat or sitting flat onto the design piece. And again, I just think it adds a lot of interest and different textures on your card. Now we're just going to add all of these berries. You can add them individually. I chose to do some of them in clusters of 3 and single. So we're just mixing and matching and just playing around with the placement. When it comes to the sets of 3, I do make sure or looking that they are placed first because they're going to take up more real estate. Now, some of them are sitting up on the leaves, some of them are sitting down onto the design base. Once I have those set, then I'm going to come in with the individual ones, whether they're the small ones or the large ones, and just having those come all around. Some of them, again, are going down onto the card base. In this case, I mean, I could do this forever by just keep adding them. Once I see or feel that I have a good balance, I created a bow. I did this off camera because nobody needs to watch that. Oh my goodness. I'm going to trim it just a little bit, and I'm going to put that to the base. And then just make sure that that sits there. And that is our card. I mean, beautiful shimmer, and it just reflects right off of that background. And then even though we have a vintage feel, it does not mean that we can't add silver to it. It does not have to be gold or antique bronze or anything like that. All the products that I used will be listed down below in the video description. So make sure you check that out if you'd like to. Make sure you leave a comment. Let us know if you like this video or if you have any questions. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, and hit the bell so that you know when the next video is live. Enjoy your process. Enjoy your art. Usually this time of the year, we really start to enjoy it, or we get a little tense because we're behind in our card making for the holidays. But whatever it is, just enjoy, try new things, and always remember what's most important. Always be creative, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Till then.